Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer. It is time for something a little bit different. As I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I'm taking a slight break from Path of Exile. Still playing it a bit, but just going a bit more casually during Legion because the League hasn't really connected that well with me. So I've just loaded up Dungeons & Dragons Online again, and I'm going to be running the Tangleroot Gorge chain, which, whilst it's not intended to be soloed, it's not like power creep in this game has gotten sufficient that it's not really difficult. You'll see the graphics are fairly dated. The gameplay is mostly pretty solid, especially at the lower levels. I think it sort of starts to weaken at the higher levels. What's happening here is that I was given a mission to go to investigate a hobgoblin outpost in Tangleroot Gorge, and I'm just running out there at the moment. This is a protracted run you only need to do once. It's not all that long, and if you're not familiar with the area, it's kind of cool. This character is, you'll see, it's got the fighter icon still for some reason. It's a rogue majority character, so 3 rogue, 2 fighter, 2 artificer at the moment. Essentially using the, taking advantage of crossbows. And I really shouldn't have been so lazy and should have picked up an arm cannon, but I haven't bothered with that yet. That's just sheerly out of laziness. If I was optimization focused at this level, I'd have one. You'll notice I'm getting small amounts of XP for completing these objectives. Generally speaking, you don't bother doing the outdoor area objectives in any serious way while you're running out to a quest. You know, the ones you get by accident are fine, but they're just not that good. I'm also just using any old gear that I happen to have, not really optimized for this character, so they're pretty weak for a multi-life character at level 7, but they're stronger than what a new character would be able to have. Now we're going to get to the NPC that is at the center of the quest. This chain involves a series of raids into the Hobgoblin fortress, and you're going to then, you basically cut a deal with the previous leader, Chief Ungers, who has lost his position in a coup. And so now that you've run to him, get to talk to him, he offers you some crappy rewards there, that none of which I care about. And his first mission is just to go in and butcher 20 of the hobgoblins that have usurped his crown. Now I'm going to be running this quest. The last time I played this game, there were some bugs that were meaning that it wasn't available on the highest difficulty setting, which is Reaper. But Elite, which was the highest difficulty setting that this game launched with, was available. And I believe that is still the case, but let's just have a look and see. Yep. So we'll step into the first quest on Elite. Because my character doesn't have amazing self-healing, I'm going to put up this, what I'd term a portable idiot. This is a hireling. These are basically player character variants that are NPC controlled. They play a character build that could be played in theory, but generally speaking they're out of date and pretty weak. Although this one's not as terrible as some of the others. You'll notice it's got 133 hit points, which generally is a good sign. Ultra low hit points in this game are a very bad thing because it's not tank and spank like World of Warcraft, except in some content. There's a lot of kiting and there's a lot of unavoidable damage. I'm going to call my hireling to me and keep him sort of vaguely nearby. Potentially I could get hit by a hold effect here, which is really nasty when you're solo, especially because I can't see the caster, and there he is, he's down. You can attack from range you can attack while moving at full speed in this game, which is something that is a pretty broken ability in a lot of cases because most monsters aren't as fast as you. And so for that reason you can really use a lot of cheese strategies like that. Ultimately, in higher level content, the developers put in more and more abilities that constrain your movement.
The portcullis cannot be opened here. There
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the first part of this castle. We're going to kill a few enemies as well. Elite difficulty, the monsters used to feel like they were hitting hard. They don't anymore. They do a bit of damage, but it's not anything that really puts you under a lot of threat at this level. However, that damage will scale up as we get later through the chain. So we'll open this. Although I haven't played this game much for a while, I still remember especially all the classic old quests like this that were very central to playing the game back 10 years ago. Even though I don't think it's played very much by current players. I remember these very well as a result of how much I used to play. You'll notice that we've got 8 left of the objective. Soon to drop. You have a 3-way choice here. There's only 19 hobgoblins from memory that are on the main passage so far. So you're going to have to then eventually go down one of the side passages. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. I'll go straight forward, but you can go the other ways here. We've got the named character here. I will just kill this guy. Normally you'd basically try and get out of the dungeon as soon as you completed the objective, because you'll see there that I got 2,500 XP. It's not much in here, but it's only 87 for killing that guy. And I'll just hit this cabinet for a vial of pure water. That's a crafting ingredient that's actually that used to be in short supply. I don't really know much about the economy of this game now. Now, recall out is something you can do. When you finish a quest, you can always port back to its entrance. Additionally, during a quest, you can also retreat that way, but doing so will have severe consequences for your XP. Essentially, you're admitting failure at that point. And then you can come back, depending upon the difficulty level. You may or may not be able to come back in, but if you do, you will end up getting a smaller amount of XP for completion. Had a couple of questions the last time I showcased this game as to more about its business model. Basically, most of the quests are free. It's gone quite heavily. When it started out, originally it was a sub-only game. Then it changed to a optional sub plus cash store model. Oh, just got to kill this elite spider, then I'll keep talking. Some monsters have that crown over their head. That means they've got double hit points and some particularly lethal special abilities. Stone Guard makes him, I believe it makes him resilient to my critical strikes and sneak attacks, but I'm not certain of that. Again, I haven't played much lately. Yeah, so on the cash shop of this game, and when it came out it was basically selling content, so I guess the equivalent would be if in Path of Exile, imagine if you had your core progression path, so your axe, and then you could purchase alternate leveling paths, some of which would be considered strictly better, some of which would have been strictly worse, but they'd have their own rewards. And then when you get to endgame, more and more, well, as you get higher in level, more and more of the content is purchase only. It also has the ability to earn store points through natural gameplay. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that the game developers ever made was making those a little bit too easily acquired through natural play rather than through target farming them. So the strategy that I'm doing at the moment, which is doing every quest that I can once on the highest difficulty setting that's available, excluding some of the very hard difficulty settings, but that will give you a maximum what's called favour. Favour is just a measure of how many unique quests you've done and what difficulty levels. and the store points that you get awarded for play are tied to the amount of favour that your character earns. You get quite a bit more of it than I think the developers may have originally intended when they monetized this game, and that has then led to them feeling that because they were a bit too generous with giving out the free points, they then started changing the cash store up to be more and more aggressive and having more outright paid cheating elements added. So, you know, you have your sort of standard XP potions that it began with, and then it just became instant massive XP boosts are available in the store. So they're not even trying to be a percentage increase or speedier leveling. It's just instant leveling in a game where a lot of your character's power comes from repeatedly leveling from... Yeah, I think I've mentioned in one of my other videos about the true reincarnation system, which would be the equivalent of in Path of Exile. Once you hit level 90, you restart your character at level 1, but they gain 1 additional notable. And once you get back to 90, you can restart them again, getting again another notable based upon the class or based upon something about your character. These stack with... Whilst there is a limit to it, the limit is beyond... It's far beyond what any normal player would ever achieve. So we're talking, you know, if you think, again, to take a Path of Exile equivalent, think of having a level 100 of every ascendancy sort of... Maybe that sort of level of play is necessary in order to have a maxed character with past lives. It's pretty absurd. Now I'm just getting... this quest, I'm coming back in and saving a bunch of human prisoners. Here, your ally amongst the Hobgoblins is concerned that the prisoners have been taken by the usurper, the hostages, that they'll be killed and that'll provoke an attack on this fortress. He doesn't actually care about their well-being, but he thinks it would be potentially detrimental to him if they were to be encounter accidents. So for that reason, he sends you in. And you'll notice that I'm getting deeper into the dungeon this time. That'll be a major theme of the Tangleroot chain, and here's a champion. That one hits me pretty hard. That's one of the reasons I have the hireling, is because those champions can hit very hard. Worst case scenario, in the event that I get killed, my hireling can potentially take me to a spot where I can be resurrected. Players don't really get access to resurrection magic until... I mean, technically you can access it at level 7, but in practice is mostly level 9 is when players start really getting access to it. And before then it's expensive consumables, albeit not cash store, we're talking in-game currency ones. One more prisoner to find, which is in this room. These prisoners aren't in danger here, which is something that sometimes this game will have quests that are failable because you've got to save hostages that are actively being attacked by monsters. Those encounters can be quite interesting at times. It can be very, very rough sometimes. So that's all of... you'll notice I just picked up a boost of XP there. That was for completing the quest. And at this point, there is more you can explore if you want, but I'm just going to zone out because I know this chain is quite long. It can be done faster than I'm doing it, but not tremendously so. And that's why it's lost popularity, because there's faster options now. Now we're getting sent back in. This time we are looking to go in there and kill a bunch of the elite minions that the usurper has. Nothing really imaginative yet. The imaginative stuff starts in the quest after this. So going in there, we're killing 3 specific mini-bosses, each of whom has a specific bonus that they have... specific quest item that they'll have. You'll notice that I'm drinking a lot of potions. That's normal in this game. A lot of powerful buffs that are single class, but that you can buy as potions for in-game currency. The in-game currency in this game, because of MMO inflation, is absolutely worthless. Not saying necessarily that you'll have an unlimited amount of it when you first start playing, but anyone that's played for a while winds up with quite literally tens of millions of platinum, when a big expenditure is to spend like 50,000. So I'll buy, for instance, these haste potions that you'll see me drinking very regularly. They only last 30 seconds, and I'll often just buy 1,000 of them at a time, which is one of the bigger expenses. They're a luxury you can't afford when you're brand new. You'll notice that this gate is already open. That's something where you've made an impact on the dungeon. That will continue to be the case. I do know where these 3 bosses are, so I'm not necessarily going to go down every side path. For instance, this side path down here, which had some of the prisoners in the last quest, that has nothing of relevance in it. Doesn't mean you can't go there, but you don't need to. Just on haste, this bard that I've got here can actually cast it for me, and when it's cast by a player or by a bard, by a hireling, which is a player character that's being run by the computer, when you have it cast by a player, it lasts longer than using a potion, but they're a little bit fiddly to get them to give them orders. So it only lasts 42 seconds because he doesn't have anything to extend it. Which is it is a perfectly viable build decision. This hireling is well built for. We tend to call them portable idiots in this game. And okay, I'll just stand toe to toe now that there's a smaller number. As I've mentioned, kiting is really powerful in this game, and even on a character like this where I don't have extreme damage, I will get a bit more damage when I get around to equipping a rune arm. Actually feel oh no, I remember where the 3 are now. I had it wrong in my head. There's a huge pack of monsters here. Some classes have crowd control abilities, and the bard that I'm running with could have spec'd into them, but doesn't. Oh, actually, they do have one spec'd in, but not one that's particularly useful when you want to kill things. I don't like standing toe-to-toe with these champions at all. They're brutal. You'll see I took an absolute pounding there. My hireling should be smart enough to cast heals on me automatically, which he's doing there. Burst healing in this game is incredibly powerful. Hopefully he'll heal himself as well. Because actually I can heal myself by drinking potions, but I can't heal him. Or her. Is it a him or a her? Carmen, yeah. It's female Carmen. Thought so. Okay, so one of the other NPCs I'm looking for is down here. These are not challenging bosses at all. After this, we'll have our first encounter with traps. Traps can be really dangerous in this game, especially when you don't know about them. However, they tend to be pretty predictable when you're familiar with the game. Definitely want to prioritize burning down that one that's got the champion mark on him, the crown. And he's out of the way. And I didn't pick up the quest item. There it is. So you'll see that I've got to pick up the combat orders, the patrol map, and the troop roster. Patrol map will be past some traps. And here's a locked door that we can't progress through at this point. At a later point we'll be able to get down there. Hero's Soul is a really annoying champion mod. It means that this mod, when he's brought under 50% health, he will heal to full and break all crowd control effects that are on him. As well as that, it does a lot more damage than usual. So at some point he's going to do that. No, I just bursted him through it. Okay, I'm not going to complain about that. Now, I'm going to drink a potion of heroism so that I'm more likely to be able to spot these traps. I know from past experience, you'll see there's this icon saying spot danger. I know from past experience that there is a trap just past here. So what I'm going to do is I'm on a character class that has the ability to disarm traps. I'm going to search for it, and then I'm going to use this control panel. And that successfully disarmed it. There is a chance to fail those disarm attempts. I believe I can't fail them at the moment, but if you do fail them, the box explodes in your face and you still have the trap. Massive swinging blades will come out of here and they will rip you to shreds. There is, however, another trap just here that is one that I can actually use myself. So here's the box. I have two choices, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use these traps to attack the enemies. So I'm going to jump and fire a couple of arrows. That'll aggro the monsters, bring them to me. At which point they're so dumb, these enemies, which actually is in keeping with their. This is actually sensible from a role-playing perspective. These are dumb enemies. They're not intended to be intelligent. They've just run straight through that trap, and I've now got a whole bunch of them coming back at me. I'm going to abuse the absurd crowd control. Oh, I've just been tripped. I'm in real trouble now. Fortunately, they're attacking me rather than my hireling. I've got to get my hireling out of there, though. At this point, I'm going to make a retreat and just start kiting again. Hopefully my hireling stays safe. I've got to get that all these champion ones down. Not only do they have double hit points, but I believe they deal about double damage plus additional effects. Champions are part of the elite difficulty setting, and also the hard setting, which is in between. Now, this here is a patrol map. That'll complete the quest. So one of those monsters was the one I needed to kill. This chest in midair, that was dropped by one of the champion monsters that we killed. They'll sometimes do that. There is another chest of loot over where we were, past the traps. However, it's not really worth my while going and getting it. Just pull up, actually, before I recall out, I'll pull up the experience points tab. And this gives you a bit of a sense as to where your experience is coming from. So this quest has a base of 1220 on Elite. There's bonuses, so this is my first time running the quest and I'm on Elite difficulty. That gives me a bonus. That would be higher if I was one level lower than I am. You get a bonus for killing lots of monsters. You also get a bonus if you can manage it. It's not possible on every quest, for killing few or none. You get bonus XP if you disarm a lot of traps. I've only disarmed one in this zone. It's detecting secret doors, smashing lots of boxes, and then a bonus for not re-entering the quest and for not dying. There's also a first time bonus for, as well as the first time each for completing the quest full stop. There is a first time bonus for a given day. So now we have a more interesting quest where we're doing something a little bit different. This time we're going to go in and there is an invincible spider, Whisperdoom, that is inside this zone. She's not actually totally invincible, but she's far beyond the combat capabilities of a level 7 character. And we're going to basically go and taunt her, get her angry, and get her to refuse to work with the usurper anymore. So here's the information here. We're going to go in there and go after her young and destroy all of her egg sacs, and then get out of this quest. It's actually quite difficult solo to get away from Whisperdoom at the end of this part. Usually what I'll do is I'll feed a hireling to her if I can. Get her to aggro on my hireling, then get out. There's not really any real consequence for your hireling dying. So I'm going to go in on Elite difficulty. And drink a potion and start moving. Also should be using these boosts a bit more than I have been. You have a lot of short duration combat buffs that you can use in this game that will really provide you a boost, but one of them is a move speed buff as well. And in a game where kiting is as strong as it is in this one, move speed buffs are incredible. Now that Hobgoblin Infiltrator ran for that bell, which he didn't get to in time. If he had have, it would have summoned more monsters. In fact, I'll just ring it now. Oh no, he did get there. Again, this gate has been permanently opened. It will remain open for the entirety of the chain. And the monsters out in the outer area are a little bit less common than they were. Use a couple of my short duration buffs just to make this fight a little faster. Interesting to see there's a bug where the names of these monsters you're meant to kill for one of the optionals. So that quest optional is not worth doing in any case, but the name of the monsters, which is Whisperdoom's daughters, have just disappeared. I was just hit with a fear spell then. That cleric there, that Hobgoblin cleric, is a crowd control caster, as well as an AoE nuker. I probably should have gone straight for him. Fear doesn't usually land on you, but when it does, it incapacitates you completely for a period of time. You can run at half speed, but that's all you can do. So it's quite nasty. This is a big fight here. No champions though, which makes it a lot easier. I'm confident I can just tank this damage, and while I'm standing still, I do more damage with my ranged attacks. Even though I'm at point blank range, I can do that. If I wasn't confident I could safely stand still, then at that point I would have changed tactics and kept kiting. Now let me think, where is Whisperdoom? She's down the second one on the right. Again, this is memory, this is just from having run this quest before. Whisperdoom's in one constant location. You'll notice that there's a limit to how far away you can see monsters. That's not a draw distance setting. That is actually a statistic your character has. The higher that you can get your spot skill, the further away you will see enemies. That's whether they're trying to be stealthy or not. Now this is the quest objective. I'm going to kill the trash monsters that I encounter on this corridor, which I don't think there's many of. If there were any. There's that Darkfang spider coming out. Here comes Whisperdoom herself. She doesn't do that much damage, but she's pretty much unkillable at this level. She has a whole lot of damage reduction, so your hits to her do less damage than they should. Having a lot of trouble hitting these with the crossbows, so I might just swap out. I got that's a melee weapon, that will do. And then I'll just burst all of these down. That will really aggro Whisperdoom on me instead of on the hireling. At least I think it does. So there's just 3 left, which are over here. And now at this point, I've got my XP for completing the quest. I'm going to get out if I can. Ideally, my hireling will take aggro here, but I don't think she will. If she does, then I can escape. And, oh yeah, no, it looks like Whisperdoom hasn't followed as far as she used to. There she is, she's just not following fast enough to come to me, and so I'm able to recall safely.
The hobgoblins here do not seem hostile.
So that undermines all of the spiders that the usurpers are able to use. And so now we're going to go in and we're going to assassinate someone. In fact, we're not assassinating the usurper here. We're taking a potion through, a poisonous potion, through to an ally of Chief Ungers. And that is going to take us into the inner sanctum. There's a cool little optional thing in this quest as well that's really worth seeing, where you get to unleash a bound demon in the middle of a whole pack of monsters. See, seen there a little message saying that I got a deed for killing lots of monsters. That's just a little XP bonus that you get for killing lots of the same monster. These spiders get meaner here. Every time you come in here, the quest level gets higher and the monsters get tougher. But these are a big step up. These brown spider princes are... they used to be terrifying, but there's been a lot of power creep since then. That hobgoblin infiltrator tried to get to the tried to get there and failed. This cleric here is dangerous. I'm just being very cautious that I can break line of sight with him if I need to, because of that. That big big hit that he just dropped on me, that flame strike spell. I've got to keep my hireling away from these guys. He's just going to get killed. One thing you can do in this game, you can spells cast by enemies often have a cast time, and there's no automatic hitting. They're subject to the potential to physics miss your character. So if you can get out of the area of effect after they start casting and before the spell hits, you'll get away from it. With those hobgoblin clerics, their primary spell is called Flame Strike. It's a high damage fire spell, but it is an AoE that's very telegraphed, and so you can get away from it during the time that they're casting it. There he goes, he's casting it now. And so if you can get out of the way quickly, then you end up with their spellcast just completely misses you. It makes the combat really dynamic. Fortunately, my hireling started doing something just before he... So he was in the middle of... I wanted him to cast a heal on me, but he was in the middle of casting his long-term bard buff, Inspire Courage. It's a buff that takes a while to cast. I don't actually need to kill this guy. It was a mistake to aggro him, but not a particularly serious one. He could have dropped an item. Now this room will have a couple of nasties in it. There is another way of doing this quest, which is just to go as fast as possible and abuse invisibility. That is actually the best way to do this quest. It doesn't work very well in terms of being interesting to watch, although it's kind of cool to see once. I just don't have any source of invisibility handy. So what you do is you cast invisibility and you just run absolute blitzkrieg speed through the dungeon and get the key that you need and try to kill almost nothing. You'll need to kill the NPC that's guarding the key and potentially nothing else. There's a very nasty champion that needs to die, and it dropped a mysterious remnant which is at my feet there. My hireling is getting beat up quite badly. Now I can just tank this damage. Oh, that's a flame strike. Normally if I see one of those casters start casting something, I'll get out of the way. Their flame strikes aren't that bad unless they're champions, but if they're champions, they can really wreck you. And I think I was mentioning before, champions you'll not see them on the easiest 2 difficulty settings. Every quest in this game can be played on casual difficulty and normal, which are intended to be basically a way to see the story of the quest. Hard difficulty, which used to be challenging. I think nowadays there's been so much power creep that hard is maybe challenging to a player that is new to the game, ungeared, and that doesn't know the quest. Elite is challenging to players that are ungeared, and then there's Reaper, which is a sort of newer setting that was added because Elite was no longer providing any real challenge for veteran players. Reaper is sort of designed with an intention of killing you, and you can select between 1 and 10 stars. Basically, each star provides a massive increase in the number of champion monsters and a stacking multiplier to the amount of damage that enemies deal, as well as a stacking less multiplier to the amount of damage that players deal. Reaper 10, the highest setting, is generally only done by players using extremely cheesy strategies. So if you think of the sort of strategies that in Path of Exile would let you take a level 50 character and run maps with them, so things like very slow, very methodical killing of monsters is one option. There's lots of other ones. In any case, those sorts of strategies are pretty much the only ones that are successful on Reaper, at least at 10. 5 is about as high as you can get is about as high as you can go whilst taking hits and not performing real cheese strategies. Now we've come halfway through this dungeon, and these witch doctors are the really nasty ones. They have their Searing Ray attack, which deals deals fire damage, and Scorching Ray, sorry. Scorching Ray deals fire damage and deals lots of it. It's also very hard to dodge. The only way that it doesn't do damage to you is if it physics misses, and it's very hard to make it physics miss. You need to move a lot relative to the character firing it off. Here there's a lever that you can shoot, and that causes this bridge to fall down. A little bit of a bug there that I don't think it actually did fall down as quickly as it looked like. That Witch Doctor is a champion. He is going to be very dangerous. I'm actually concerned he may have the capacity to one-shot me if he hits with a Scorching Ray. I'm not sure. So I'm going to keep dodging him side to side. Partly because I didn't put up resistance against fire spell, which is something that I have that will take 10 points off every hit from fire sources that I take. At level 7, you could conceivably have 3 points off. However, 20 points off instead of 10. But that would require you to be a pure spellcaster rather than this ranged character that has a few skills. Now, this guy is the NPC that we need to talk to complete the quest. However, there is a cool optional objective you can do in this quest, which I'm going to do. It's one of those things that was just put in to add I think a bit of a sense of vermicelitude. There's a lot of traps here from memory, and I don't need to run through them in order to turn them off, which is a bonus. So I succeeded there with a roll of 1, that's a good sign. Now I'm just going to come up here, and you'll see a room that I could have accessed down below. Here you'll see there's 2 force fields, and then a flesh-rendered demon is trapped inside them. And then there's a whole lot of hobgoblins around. What I'm going to do is flick this switch and just watch the carnage start. And now that flesh render is going to go and slaughter everything down there. In the game normally, that flesh render is invincible. Normally it would not be as strong as it looks here. but they are still a much more powerful foe than anything else you're fighting down here. It will just go and work its way through and kill all of the hobgoblins that were guarding it. They've got an icon above their heads. If you have a look at this one here, has that icon above his head that looks like a couple of yellow dripping things. That is the icon to say they're poisoned. So there it is. It's going to take constitution damage, which reduces its maximum hit points, as well as reducing its current hit points as well. So that flesh render is going to kill that off. I will go through that way during the next part of the quest. But that was a little sidetrack. We'll just go and talk to Lord Tragu and finish this quest off. So this is the objective. And this is an interesting one here. You talk to this guy. It doesn't actually matter what you say. He gives a couple of dialogue options. Given that he is an undercover assassin, I'm just going to say, yes, you are Lord Tragu. I have a package for you. And you'll notice here that he's saying that he is, well, he's very visibly got a severe headache. And then he gives you the, he then goes and orders you to release the flesh render, which we've just done. You can also go in and have a look at the carnage that's been carried out in there. As I said, you go into this zone next, in the next quest. Oh, and they're still fighting. And there the flesh render disappears when he kills the last monster. And there's this chest here, which, generally speaking, loot at this point of the game is pretty much always rubbish unless it's in some of the newest quests that have some newly added, very powerful items. That's a random loot gen item, which is a prefix-suffix system not too dissimilar to the Path of Exile magic items. However, named items, which are the... Well, ultimately you can get up to 3 affixes on random loot gen. Named items can have many, many more, and they will often be at full... Every mod will be at full power.
Hobgoblins here do not seem hostile.
So here we go to speak to Ungers, and we find out that, unfortunately, Lord Tragu made his move, but Zolcash found him out. He's a witch doctor, and he smelt the treason on our guy with his magic. What happened to Lord Tragu? And Zolcash used his magic to make him cut his own throat. So the assassination attempt failed, and now the second in charge of the usurpers is trying to drive your ally Ungers mad. So in we go again, and this time we're going to go through the same outer dungeon, but the outer dungeon is much more simple this time. From memory, there are no locked doors anymore in the outer dungeon. It was for a period of time there was a cheese strategy where you would repeat the first half of this quest repeatedly. But nowadays that seems to be obsoleted. There are faster ways of getting XP really quickly. Again, I don't have invisibility handy, so I can't fully demonstrate the Zerg strategy, but I'll give it a try anyway. Let's see how we go. I'll probably end up getting killed doing this, but I'm just going to attempt the Zerg through, killing almost nothing, and using my Hireling's Fascinate crowd control ability to try and mitigate the swarming that I've got here. It looks like my Hireling just got ganked. Need to be far enough ahead of the enemies that you can open doors. Ah, yeah, now that's it. Now I've been hit by a slow. I think that will be the end of it. I got away from the slow. I can resurrect my Hireling by taking him to a resurrection shrine. I can't resurrect him via spells yet. Technically I could if I was carrying Raised Dead Scrolls, but I just didn't get around to getting them. I could also leave the Hireling dead and demonstrate just how much he means to me by leaving him as a corpse on the ground. And in fact, that might... No, I'm going to want him in the second half of the quest. And I can't easily raise him that way. Behind this door is the Resurrection Shrine. I haven't gone in there because I haven't needed to, but it looks like I am going to need to kill everything in order to get through there. At least the Brown Spider Princes need to die. Well, maybe not. Maybe I can just get there with speed boost. No. Oh, I'm tripped. Alright, I've been knocked unconscious. The monsters may or may not think to finish me off. Used to be that when you got knocked to negative health, that you died at -10. That appears to have changed. However, I'm swarmed enough that even if I stop bleeding and recover, which is a random number chance, even if I do, then I'm probably going to be unable to recover this run. I expect I'll just get woken up and then immediately killed by these monsters that are standing over me. But in any case, it was worth the try just for something a little bit to do. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to accept failure on that attempt. That was the whole idea of just going recklessly and going as fast as I could, was to see whether I'd be able to pull it off without invisibility or not, and I didn't think I would. Just going to quickly repair my equipment. And then I'm going to wait out a death penalty. Deaths in this game, generally speaking, make you 5% worse at everything for a minute after you're raised. But that 5% stacks, so if you have 3 deaths without a rest in between, you'll be 15% worse at everything for 1 minute, then 10% worse at everything for 1 more minute, then 5% worse at everything for 1 more minute, and then you'll be back to full strength. Resting in a tavern completely clears this, and so that's what I'm waiting for at the moment. I'm also slowly regaining spell points. Spell points in this game don't regenerate through normal gameplay, but that's fine. 50 is more than I need. So at this point, I'm going to jump back in, and I'm going to resummon my portable idiot. This time I'll do this the more conventional way of killing things as I go, rather than just zerging to the end. Zerging is fun, but it's not. It wasn't successful in this attempt. Normally it would be. It's just a case of being underprepared for it and just thinking, oh yeah, let's do it anyway. Hirelings are pretty bad at zerging strategies as well. Normally you would leave them behind. So at this point, I'm going to order my hireling to be aggressive. Get whatever he's buffing Inspire Courage at the moment, which is always useful. And then give me a haste, and then we're good to go. Possibly would have been okay if I had taken out those brown spider princes at the start and then done the zerg, but because they were the ones that broke my not my stealth, but broke my attempts to open a door. But that said, I'm doing this for fun, not for efficiency. I used to be much more efficiency focused when I played this game more seriously. That Hobgoblin Cleric is casting Flame Strike, so that's a get the hell out moment. Especially given that he's got that his champion status with Stygian, that could have been an instant kill. This quest is in 2 parts, so there's the run into the central dungeon, and then there's the questing in the central dungeon. And you will recover all of your health and spell points when you change from one to the other. that's part of the reason, because the inside part is the harder part of this quest. That's part of the reason that I'm not concerned about entering with virtually no spell points. Oh, I got 2 champions on me. That's actually really worrying. Burst these guys down. The wargs can trip you are quite good at tripping. So they basically, although you don't necessarily think of wolves as being crowd controllers, that's what they are. They're quite scary at it. Whereas the hobgoblins are just brute force fighters. Mostly. The hobgoblin cleric's something else, of course. Hobgoblin slayer there is a champion. That's a damage fighter. I've just been hit by cause fear, which reduces movement speed but makes you unable to act for a short period of time. It's a nasty form of crowd control. However, it wore off quickly. When that's cast, you have a chance of resisting it. And those use in Dungeons and Dragons terminology, they use saving throws. My character is, just having a quick look at my saves, quite resilient to attacks on the body, and moderate at dodging attacks and at resisting attacks on the mind. However, for level 7, those saves are pretty solid. Spiders everywhere. Again, the names are missing on the quest objectives tab. Just a silly little bug that has been there for a while. You'll notice with my repeating crossbow, I'm not actually that familiar with these weapons, but they fire 3 attacks in a short burst. Then they need to reload and fire 3 more. This is the first time I've played a character that functionally is an artificer, even though you'll see my icon there is of that of a rogue. I always think of characters that use a repeating crossbow as basically being artificers. It's the first time playing an artificer build of any description, so we're getting the hang of it. Now this door is open, and it will be open both this time and the next time that we come in here. Which, the next time being the last time. Kill these stupid spiders off. These are completely optional. I'd be happy to leave them, but they're just in my way. Now we go into the second half of the quest, and we are hunting down the Witch Doctor, who is the second in charge of the usurper's forces. Here we're going to get attacked on the bridge. The bridge has stayed down after we knocked it down last time, and there is a Hobgoblin Witch Doctor at the back, which is a debuffer and fire damage caster. There I just dodged his, I just saw him casting Scorching Ray and started running behind him. That spell has a frontal, it's a ray attack, but it has some degree of line of sight. Oh, not line of sight requirement, it has a facing requirement. Facing is what I'm looking for, the word I'm looking for. And so if you can adjust its facing, there we go, just dodged a Scorching Ray. If you can dodge their facing, then you can make those spells fail. And the Hirelings, yeah, they just don't cope very well with bridges. So this is familiar territory again. We're back where we were at the end of the second half of Quest 5. Lord Trigo, of course, is dead. He failed in his mission, so he wound up... he's not very well now. I think he's got a bit of a headache. So, again, prioritising the clerics and the witch doctors first, and then the rest as you see fit. I'm going to find this, not for any reason other than just incrementing the secret doors detected counter. There's no real point going up there, even though that's where we release this flesh render. And even though we did have a bit of fun releasing that flesh render last time, it doesn't have any impact on the number of monsters in here on this incursion into the Tangleroot visor. Oh, sorry, Tangleroot Gorge quest chain. So there'd be no more or less monsters in here if I hadn't done the flesh render. It's just such a cool optional. And you can see where here the sort of geometry of the zone. There's something up there that is rather strange looking. It's quite hard to look straight above your character in this game. Can I get it by... Oh yeah, that maybe works a bit better if I zoom in more. In any case, we'll get to the puzzle now.
And you hear hobgoblin voices chanting, echoing from far down the hallway.
It's an interesting little puzzle that's that comes up here, which I used to have this committed to memory. I don't anymore, but I know where to get the information for it from. Oh, that was a scorching ray. I should be dodging those, as they can really hurt you. If not so bad when the witch doctor isn't a champion, but when they are, they can wreck you. So it's good practice to dodge them all the time, although it only matters some of the time. So you see here that there are 6 different icons around this wheel. So firstly at the top we have that it's a purple rune wheel, and it has 4 icons. That's a color blindness indicator, so 4 is a way that people that have particularly red-green color blindness can identify what color it is without actually being able to see that. So we have 6 different symbols. I call them O with an antenna, double N, H, double F, I'll explain why in a sec, normal F, and this is bent over backwards H. Double F here, it's a bit clearer when it's looking at you, but it's sort of like an F that a lowercase f that points in both directions. In any case, I will go and I'll have a look at what the wheel's meant to be, which will be something we'll see soon. We also have here's the red one. This is a bit of an introduction to some of the puzzles. This one's quite a trivial one because the desired wheel settings, 1, they're always the same, and 2, you can see them. Oh shit, I just got hit by something nasty, nasty, nasty. Alright, I'm safe. Sorry. I'll explain that in a sec. Just got debuffed really badly by that champion witch doctor. What is that? It's a ray of enfeeblement. I don't have the potion to clear that. So yeah, there's the next one. From memory, you turn 3, 3, 4, and 3 times, or 3, 3, 5, and 3 times going around clockwise. I can't remember. So, what I'm writing here: 4 for purple and the like, and then I'm just going to type in party chat, double N. Red is 5 dots, and it's bent over backwards H. That's a lowercase h though. There is an uppercase H as well. So green is FF, and blue, which is 1, is O. I'm just going to put that on copy paste because typing it in party chat does work because I got a hireling. Party chat is doesn't exist if you don't have a hireling, similar to in Path of Exile. So here we need to turn this to be double N, which is 1 turn. So I was completely wrong with what I thought. That's 4, so 4, as you see there, double N. That's just how I name that. People have all sorts of different names for these. This is bent over backwards H, so that's 4 turns. And then we've got the blue and the green ones around here. These will be the last things that we need in order to get in. However, we do have a champion in this pack, so I'm going to respect them. Kite them rather than just treat them as trivial. I really should have haste going on myself at this point. Give me a haste tiling. He didn't do what he was instructed to, but that's fine, I got away with it. Okay, so this is 1, and it is O with an antenna, which is 4 turns. We still have a witch doctor alive at the back. He actually jumped his ray of enfeeblement then. Didn't realise you could do that. Certainly wasn't trying to. So 2 is double F, so that is 3 turns. And then when that's the right way up, you'll see how it's sort of a... there's an element of it being F that way, and then also a mirror image of it. Anyways, I call it double F. Other people have different names for it. Setting all 4 of these rune wheels will cause the barrier that was blocking my path around here to disappear. And it's gone. I'm just going to open this door. This is a rest shrine and a resurrection shrine. In the event that I get killed in here, as long as I can run for 10 seconds as a ghost, and as long as I can reach the resurrection shrine, I'm able to recover the run. In the event that I can't make it to the resurrection shrine, then that's basically a complete wipe. Unless my hireling's still alive, in which case they can take my corpse. That said, this final fight's not very difficult now. It was non-trivial once, but there's been so much power creep since then. You'll notice that the boss only has 465 hit points. He's just not that powerful. Is a spellcaster that is a hybrid of debuffing and damage, but spellcasters in this game, if you can get close to them and circle strafe them like this, so just sort of dance around them, and you've got a high angular velocity with respect to them, they generally cannot hit you. Interestingly, this dread zombie, who's a trash mob, has more hit points than the boss, which is actually for the better, because they're the boss fights that drag on aren't particularly interesting. So you've killed the totem, which was responsible for mentally attacking the boss. Oh, sorry, for mentally attacking our ally. And at this point, I'm going to recall out. Either at some point in that quest, I picked up a fraction of a level. Each 20% of an experience level, you get what's called an action point. I'll spend that at the end of the quest chain. Now we're going in for the final part, which is to kill the end boss of the usurper. The actual usurper himself isn't that hard at all. There's a bit of a letdown really at the end of the chain, and the path there is it is the hardest part of this chain, but this is still a fairly introductory quest chain, so it's not that difficult. So we've got to breach the outer section of the fortress again, which is going to be more dangerous, but also quicker than it has been in the past. The spiders are up. These spiders cannot be ignored, so I'll use two of my major cooldowns in order to get in some extra. So I was trying to use them, but I think I got interrupted while activating them. Oh well, that means they're still free. I use my haste boost, which is a major cooldown. Oh, there's a flame strike that I didn't even see coming because I wasn't paying attention to the caster, which is never smart. You should always pay attention to the casters because otherwise they will wreck you. That one's casting at me. Oh, it's a cause fear. Alright, nothing I can do about that. I've just got to wait it out. As I said, fear takes away control of your character for a period. You can still move. You can't perform most offensive actions. There are a couple of ways that you can break it once you're feared, but the most common the most common strategy to mitigate fear is to just go for immunity to it. Immunity to fear is pretty rare until level 9 though, at which point I will be using an item that makes me immune to fear, except in some unusual circumstances. Flame strike, that hit my portable idiot, but he should heal himself. One thing about them, their AI is just not very good. Although, to be fair, it's a lot better than it used to be. We have an Ogre here, one of the bigger monsters that you'll encounter very early in the game. And here's a champion. That's worrying. I don't really even want to get hit by his bow and arrow that much. He's not that bad. So I got hit by Shaken. That means that the cleric was casting a fear spell on me but failed. I resisted it. Been hit by a hold person. That's a terrifying spell. That renders you immobile, unable to act, and you take 50% increased damage from all sources. I think it's 50%. That's changed a few times in the game's history. It used to be every attack on you was a critical strike. That was very deadly. That was something that was changed to make, well, more than anything else, it was to make players die less early on. Because you'd find that you were just dying to bad luck. It also changed up the dynamics of high-level play, where hitting enemies with holds became less essential. You'd find that you'd have enemies with, say, 6,000 hit points that, if you didn't hit them with a hold, they could potentially take 60 or 70 hits to kill. If you did hit them with a hold, and you were spec'd into maximum critical multiplier, you could then get them down in 10. So they changed it so they halved those monsters' hit points, and they made it so that instead of always being a crit, you would just be taking 50%. I think it's 50% increased damage. It may be less on some difficulty settings. In any case, here we are with the final confrontation. There's going to be a couple of traps in this one, and I will be using the traps to my advantage in places as well, because I know them very, very well where they're located, and can just get them to hit enemies, because enemies are not very smart around traps, which, as I say, sometimes makes sense, and the monsters in here are not immune to traps. Traps do a lot of damage in this game, at least on the Elite and Reaper difficulty settings. They do a lot more than monsters do. So, for instance, you might take 75 damage from a trap, whereas even a champion won't do 75 a hit usually, unless they've got a particularly nasty mod. So let's get these 2 witch doctors down. And then at that point we've got this Acheron Warg. So then the name that they have over them indicates something about the mods that they've got. Acheron is, from memory, it is the plane of law, so that would have something lawful aligned. That could be more damage to chaotic players. I'm not chaotic, but probably would rip my bard to shreds because they're often chaotic. Various D&D source reasons. I'm not actually certain though. I haven't played a lot since they introduced the champions, which was actually a great change for the game, I thought, but that was controversial at the time. It's just that was a point in the game where I was losing interest in it rapidly. Get out of here. There. You can teleport your hireling to you, but doing so causes you to lose control over them for 6 seconds. I really need my hireling to heal himself because I can't heal him. And I don't think I want him to... just be an idiot. Using his ability to give us damage reduction here, because I remember this being a room full of monsters. None of which are individually scary, but there's just so many of them. And we got a Witch Doctor champion. That is scary. Trying to get the non-champion Witch Doctor down. Oh, I just been trapped. I'm in real trouble here. Got to get out of here quickly. Didn't actually expect to survive that. And if my hireling gets ganked here, I don't have any way of getting him up for a good while, so I'm going to have to function without him for a bit. Fortunately, he is not smart enough to heal himself. Which you'd think would be sort of ABC of not being an idiot. Oh, I'm one hit from death at this point from those scorching rays, but I'm clear. Okay, now come here, Hireling. Would you please heal yourself? Come on, you can do it. Is he in some sort of rage? It's possible. I'm just looking at the buffs that are on him. It is possible that his rage spell is coded incorrectly in the game. And no, he's just cast a heal on me while he was still raged. And he's just fallen over because that's something. I do have an emergency burst heal that I can use on him. I'd forgotten entirely about that. Racial one for Aseema's. He was only being kept up by having more hit points than usual as a consequence of his rage spell. And so when the rage spell wore off, he fell over. He fell over, not dead, because you don't die at 0 hit points in this game, but he fell over on his last legs and almost died. Now, from memory, there is a bunch of traps around here, but I can't remember where. Maybe there... Oh. What's that again? That's right. This is open that way, that's how. I may not get early warning of the traps here either. Oh, there he goes. No, I can't save him. I don't want to go toe to toe with the ogre while he's got a champion with him. Champion's probably the more dangerous foe here, but I want that Soul of Cruelty monster down first. Partly because I just don't know what they can do. Ogres have a triple swing like you just saw there. There he goes, he's down, but that triple swing that they do, if the first one is a critical strike, you're probably dead. In any case, I need to go and get my Portable Idiot's Soul Stone. This is basically his corpse, except without any weight. And I can now carry it to a resurrection shrine. No, I can't. I need to get the other key first. I've done the 2 ogres in the wrong order. Wargs can trip, so they're particularly obnoxious to have around hard hitters, especially a champion warg like this Pandemonium one. Use a speed boost to so that I can kite more effectively, and an attacking speed boost as well. So this guy here, as long as he's firing arrows at me, I don't really care what he's doing. Especially when I've got my burst heal available. Now, there's a very nasty trap in this room. One that is usable against... Ooh, one that is usable to damage the bosses. Or you can just zerg past it, or you can disable it. Now I'm going to disable it, and I'll just verify that I did succeed. So that's the first trap. This is the second one here. It'll be just... got my spot warning coming up. This one is much more abusable. You'll notice the layout of the trap becomes visible once you have reached it. I just order my hireling to use the shrine. And what I'm going to do is tell my hireling to sit here. Now I'm going to abuse the trap on the boss. This boss isn't particularly dangerous, but I'm still going to abuse the trap on him because why be fair when you can be unfair?
You have found the heart
However, I will just do something that's worth doing for XP first, which is find the secret doors. I've got one of them. I'm not going to bother with the other one. So I've got Yarkich coming with me, and this trap will rip him to shreds. You'll notice that I can dodge it pretty easily, but lots of him and his minions will not be as smart. They'll often just take a lot of damage from it, because it will be hitting for a good 80, 100 damage. I am, however, getting shredded here. Now at this point, I'll just toe-to-toe with him, and that's the end of the quest. There are a couple of optional things you can get. I'll just go and get the end of the chain, but I thought it's worthwhile showing off how you can abuse traps to your advantage in this game. Sometimes it's a really cheesy tactic. It doesn't feel so bad when you're playing against hobgoblins that are possibly stupid enough to fall for that. And that's just ordinary garden variety loot there. There is another secret door here. These secret doors lead to passages that have got rubbish chests, and also have more traps that I could have disarmed for XP. The end of the chain. That is now completion of the entirety of the chain. I'm just going to recall out and talk to Ungers and see the final dialogue.
In fact, their chief beckons you closer.
And there's a number of items that can drop uniquely from here that are like, some of them are pretty strong. Alright, I already have one of these. This is the best of them, though. There is also this rune arm. I knew I needed a rune arm, so what is this one again? This is moderate fortifications are really nice. It's, I will just take that. I've never used this rune arm, so when you reach level 2 as an artificer, you gain the ability to equip these things, and they charge up, and then how do you fire them again? It's alt again. Oh, so it's hold alt to charge. I've not used one of these before. And then I thought it was just release, but no, it's actually tap again to release. And while you're moving, you seem to have a lower maximum charge potential. And then, yeah, that's how they work. The main thing, though, that they also do is they add various static effects. So we have moderate fortification, which is 75% critical hit evasion. So if you would suffer a crit, there is a 75% chance that you only suffer a normal hit. And then there is 1 to 4 fire damage on every hit, which is scaled by your range power. So it basically scales well. It can also be crafted, and I've not really looked into the crafting of rune arms in this game. That's something that was totally overhauled after I stopped playing it very much. In any case, that's the Tangleroot chain. It gives a bit of a sense of this game, how the quests are story driven. It's not just go and kill 5 monsters, nor is it just go into a wilderness with other players and grind down enemies. So in that sense, the quests are the high point of this game, especially the older ones, although the ones that were designed early in the game's life, generally speaking, aren't as competitive in terms of loot and experience as the more recent stuff. In any case, it's been an interesting little aside. If you've got any questions, fire away. If I was doing this in normal gameplay, my goal would have been to do that chain in probably maybe 35 to 40 minutes instead of taking 75 to 80. Certainly without having the death in there, and if you're doing it in a group, play is a lot faster in this game in a group. Also, it's a lot faster on characters that are optimized for speed leveling, which this one isn't. Like, this character is just basically a build that I took off the game forums. made some tiny tweaks to, but ultimately I'm leveling them because I wanted to play as a ranged character for the first time in a very long time. So it's not a particularly complex character, but it's something that will be probably reasonably interesting to play, and have a fair few options available to it. Being able to trapsmith is really useful as well. But anyways, if you've got any questions, fire away below. Otherwise, have a good one.